Last week we made another after movie for a BMW franchise that organized a ladies' night. But it's not the first time that we're doing this. We've made tons of after movies over the years, and our clients keep coming back because they love the way we work. So let me share my secret with you in these 5 tips for editing an awesome after movie. What's up guys, Jordy here for Cinecom.net. We share all kinds of camera, lighting, sound and editing tips at our channel. And today we're having a look at after movies. That could be a party, an event, a business meeting, a sports happening, etc. Your job is to bring that day into a fun video that everyone can enjoy afterwards. But how do you keep the viewers' interest? How do you create a dynamic after movie that everyone will love? Well, here are 5 tips to help you with that. Tip number 1, your intro is super important. You want to open your after movie with a visual that triggers the people to watch. Here are some examples. For the launch of the BMW 5, we opened the after movie with some mysterious shots of the guests entering the event. We have a lot of close-ups to remain the mystery. Also pay attention to the light leaks we're using. It are real bright visuals that trigger the audience attention. Here's another opening shot of a business party where they had these fire shooters. Opening with this shot again triggers for that interest. There's a big visual change and the fire shooters look pretty epic. Now if there's nothing this cool at your event, you can also try to open with a different shot that triggers interest, like these slow motion heavily color graded flags. Tip number 2 is the choice of music, and this one is the most important one of all for after movies. Never just pick out a song and place that in the background of your video. It reminds me of those elevator musics, and it's just plain boring. You want to look for a song that has a lot of dynamic in it. And with this I mean lots of changes. Different intensities, instruments, playful sounds, etc. I also love to work with songs that has vocals in it, as it sets a certain mood and usually has a lot of dynamic in it. Now if you've been following my channel for a while, you know how much I love to work with premium beats. And that's because they have a great system to search for music. You can search for genre, mood, instruments, beat per minute, etc. Having so much control so you can find the right track which you had in your mind super fast. Here's a song I got from Premium Beat. Just listen to the intro and how it sets that mysterious mood. The music builds up and beautifully transitions with this drum to a new part of the music. It has a very nice beat to it, on which we can edit. And after a little while, the music changes to a slower pace. Again, we have that change in the music, which is super important. In here, we can introduce something new or perhaps include a speech of someone. And after this, the music builds up again, which gives us another trigger. The more you have of such triggers and change in music, the better. Of course, you want to look for a genre that fits your event. This was just one example. Now you can find a link to this song, by the way, also in the description below. In tip number 3, I want to continue on the music because it's so important. Once your music is part of the after movie, you can use certain sound effects or bells and whistles to create a visual on it. I'm not sure how to name it, but here's an example. Listen how the music fades out. I cut to a slow motion shot and created this zoom as the beat in the music drops. In this after movie, I used the drop of the beat again to change between 2 different scenes. Without this music, this would have been pretty weird. I did something similar in this after movie as well. Here comes another example where I'm using the music to make my edit on. Listen to the build-up and see how I'm editing on that music. It's super simple, but it creates that dynamic again. And here's again an example where I did something similar. I'm gonna give a few more examples to give you guys some ideas, because leveraging such music triggers really makes a difference. When you have people dancing, they're dancing on the rhythm of the music that they hear. Try to make it match with your music. If they clap on their hands or move their hips into a certain direction, make sure it's at that beat of your music. Some songs have a certain flow, and it's pretty cool to visualize that flow. In the next example, pay attention to the way that the camera moves and that the movement is being interrupted in every cut, because the music says so. of the music is also something fun to play with if you can shoot in slow motion. If you hear that the music is gradually changing in tempo, then you can ramp up your speed from slow motion to fast motion. Now here's another example where I did the same. And then the last example for this tip, which is getting pretty long now, is to work in 2 different tones if your music has that as well. For example, your music has a calm and heavy part. What I did in this after movie was made the calm segments black and white color, and the heavier segments just in color. At a certain point, the music also allowed me to transition from black and white to color, and I used this golden chandelier for that. Alright, time for tip number 4, which is the length of your after movie. Keep it as short as possible, and unfortunately I can't give you an exact number on here because it depends on the event itself and the audience. Some events only have a few activities, like eating and dancing. Don't make a 3-minute after movie of that. Usually I tend to go to 1 minute or even less if there's nothing more to show. You want to keep your viewer interested throughout the entire video, and you can do that with music and visual triggers. But if your content doesn't change, the audience will also close the video before it's done. After they've seen some people dancing and caught the atmosphere of the party, they had it. Try to come up with new content or just end the video. When there's more to show, like different activities, speakers, food, interesting interiors, etc., then you can make your after movie longer. Just make sure you can keep introducing new stuff. Keep the audience triggered, and you could go up to 1 minute or 2, or even a little bit longer. It also has a lot to do with the target audience. Usually business events can be a little bit longer because they appreciate to include sponsors and certain important people. The audience is also interested to see who was at that event and what they are missing from a business perspective. Same goes for sports events. The audience has the interest in the disciplines and want to see their teams. But when the after movie solely functions as entertainment or promotion, keep it short. Usually these are dance parties or product reveal type videos. And then the last tip for this video is to show faces in your after movie. I also tend to put a lot in scene where I ask people to raise their glass or look into the camera. Make sure you use those shots in your edit. Faces trigger attention. It's something we're drawn to. Definitely if it's a beautiful man or a woman. It also makes the after movie a lot more personal, as we can literally put a face onto it. It are those people that were there, plus you increase the chance that people will share the video as well, as the audience will notice people they know, or some people will just share the video because they're in it. Of course, you need to think about that while you're filming. Luckily, we also have 5 tips for filming an after movie. You can just click in the video here on my left, or you can also find a link to it in the description below. But first, let me know which kinds of events you usually film. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay creative.